10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Hi everyone, my name is Adela Banda and I'm obtaining my degree in marketing, and this is one of the chapters of my life, a story that comes from one of my journeys and my experiences in life. Okay, so being that this is my story talk show, with my chapters of my life, I would like to get a chapter of my life that involved me from moving from one place to another. I feel like that was the time that the biggest change of my life ever took place. I was living with my parents in Lusaka. At that time, I was just in my grade 8. And something happened, like due to financial crisis, my father was found in a situation where he could not afford to take care of me and my siblings. So the best way he came up with was to distribute us. And his family was so welcoming. My mom's family was also welcoming. They were like, no, it's fine. If it's your children, just bring them along. Then we'll take care of them on your behalf. I felt like that was the moment in my life I felt away from my family ever than ever. At that time, I had to move from Lusaka. I had to go to a small town, very nice town, Petauke. It's in Eastern Province. It felt like home being that I am Chewa. As I've already mentioned, I'm Angela Band after all. I am Chewa. Then I felt like that was like close to my roots, and that was home. So moving that side, I had to move on my own, by myself. That was the first time I actually traveled for 6 hours on the bus on my own, going to a place that I had no idea. I didn't even know how I was going to even get there. So I moved. I got on the bus early in the morning, the first bus at 05. Then I arrived in Petauke around, I think that was 14:12. 14 hours, I guess. Yeah, that's when I got there. It was something else. Believe me, I found people and I found cows moving around. I even saw donkeys, to tell you the truth. I saw donkeys when I arrived. It was something else. And when I got there, I boarded off the bus, and my uncle was there. My uncle was waiting for me, Mr. Bewe. He got me from there and he took me home. He had a lovely home with such a big extended family. For me, moving away from my parents was like this was the first thing. It was the biggest thing that ever happened to me because I grew up with my family. Being that I was the last born in my mom's womb, I was raised like a baby. Then moving to another place, knowing that okay, those people are not my real parents, and they're different, their culture is different, the way they lived was different. It was something else. It was like a very big challenge for me because I was nervous. Little did people see that, but I was a bit scared. The fear was there. But they were welcoming. I won't lie, my aunt and my uncle were the best. They welcomed me in such a loving way. They allowed me to build with them. Like the first few weeks, they would tell me certain things indirectly. Like they tell me, okay, this is what happens. Here, you have to wake up as early as possible. You do something around. Even if it's a very big family, you do something around here. So at first, I used to wake up here and there. I do something else. But they told me like, okay, with time, we'll assign you to a particular duty. Then I learned that. Then with time, as time went on, being that I was supposed to go to school, I was at a day school. I went to Betauke then while I was in Betauke. Then I had to wake up very early in the morning. The duty that they gave me was so interesting. They told me to, early in the morning, I have to ifunga shangu phone, then like couple months. Niambia first week couple months there that then atatu akasamba, then months the other side nyanga. Then sweep outside. That was the first duties that I got. I was just alright with them. There was a baby at home. I rarely had time to take care of the child because in most cases I'd go to school and come back. They would allow me to rest in most cases. They would allow me to rest. But as time went on, I got used to the big family. There were a lot of people. I was so surprised. How can such people like keep people who are not even directly related to them, but they would keep them. So from there, I went to school. School was something else. Believe me, I learned that if I ever become successful, I would want to go back to my school to make a difference. I was in a class where there was about 100 and something students. And among these 100 and something students, there are others who were pregnant. There were others who came from very far places. They had to walk really really long distances to just reach to school. It's because Petauke was at the center, and at that time it was the only kind of school that would teach grade 10, 11s, and 12s. At that moment, people had to travel from very far places. I actually learned a lot of things. There are people who had been in grade 10 but didn't know how to read. How did they find themselves there? The same question I was also asking myself. But there are moments whereby in such a rural area, it doesn't even matter who's in class and who's not concentrating. Because the only thing the government wanted to show was like, okay, we're giving education and education is to everyone. But there are people who are doing substance abuse. There were others who had to go to work and come back to class again. Others who had children at home waiting for them. But still, they wear their uniform and go to class. It was so inspiring to see such an amazing environment. Though we were a lot in class, we were a lot in class. And believe me, in most cases, teachers would come and they would not give us their full attention because they would give us an exercise. They know that there will be a pile of books they have to mark. Why does vote is? So in most cases, they'll just tell you, okay, this, you should work on it. Then they'll go and forget about it. In majority will drop out due to the same process, whereby you cannot afford such. You cannot afford to go to school every day while your family is suffering. You have to go and look for a job during the farming season, you even see how people will reduce going to class because majority were Umunda, value. That's how it was. So for me, that big change, I felt like it's God who placed it. You know, like God wanted me to go through that so that I see another version of people and how they live. And I cannot regret that part. That was the best part of my life. That chapter of moving from one place to another allowed me to grow and see other places and see other people through their eyes. I even saw different situations and I would even hear different stories. Thank you.